having roots in church, what does that mean? Like what does that even mean? You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, having roots in church is not being a Christian.
At all.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's another form of cultural Christianity. And
Yeah.
as long as we allow people to believe that their association with a 1 day a week gathering and their experience as a result of that 1 week gathering, whether that's singing, whether that's that doesn't necessarily translate into relationship.
Right.
All right. Welcome to the Church Dropout podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Church Dropout is a podcast. We talk about issues, topics, and teachings related to faith, life, and culture in ways that are sometimes funny, sometimes serious, but always insightful. If you have not already, please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this at, and drop a comment below. Keep the conversation moving forward. And I am joined always by my lovely
Lisa?
host. Oh, yeah, just gonna.
So, I didn't know where to plug in.
No,
Sorry,
Lord,
my
you know where
bad.
to plug in. Let me adjust this real quick. You about to hit that cord. You finna tear stuff up.
Okay.
The usual. Which means you didn't know where you was supposed to come in. What are you talking about? Did I do something different?
Yes.
What did I do that was different?
Okay. Why don't we just do it over?
No, I don't want to do it over.
No, I want to do it over.
I'm not doing it over. I think the intro was fine. It was good. You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
What was bad about it? What was wrong with it? Why are you just sitting there smiling? What was wrong with it? Seriously, what was the problem?
I just didn't like it. It didn't feel good.
It didn't feel good?
Mm-mm.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. So let's do it over.
No, we don't need to do it over. I thought the intro was good. On the real, I thought the intro was good. I don't think we need to do it over.
Okay.
There was something I was gonna say though. Did I already introduce you? Yeah, we already introduced you. See, you threw me all off.
But that's what I'm saying. So we just need to do it over.
Apparently, you're not saying anything completely like, and this is just typical. Like this is one of the differences. And I'm not saying I'm making a generality here, but this is not, this could be different than most people. But this is the difference between men and women, because I'm asking you, like, what was wrong with it? And then you just smile at me, right? You don't say anything. You do what you do, right? And then I say, oh, I lost my train of thought. Then you're like, exactly. Like, wait, but why did you say that in the first place?
Because it's throwing everything off. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
and
Lord.
Instead of just saying, you know what, you're right, wife. I'll go ahead and change it.
Okay, so now we're gonna make this into.
No, but I'm just saying, instead of just agreeing with me,
Why couldn't you just agree with me? You could have did the same thing you're asking me to do.
Because you're proving my point. You're proving it by now. I don't even know where I was at. Exactly. So we need to do it all over because it's a mess.
Well, hello. How y'all doing? We hope that you are having a good day. As you can see, this is probably going to be a longer conversation than it actually needs to be. But anyhow, so this has to do with the topic, but I think every generation says this about their generation in some form or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every generation feels their generation is better than the previous generation. You get what I'm saying? Like, no, I mean, you know what I mean, right?
Well, I don't think like better, but
or
I
do
think
things better.
Yeah, like we're we have more sense. Our generation,
Okay, well, that would
I
be
guess,
considered
yeah,
better.
but I mean, we would have never done that, and it's like, yeah, but it just was in a different way, like, you know what I mean?
For sure. So do you think, we've had this discussion in some forms, but do you think our generation musically, though, like when it comes to music, do you think our generation of music is better than this generation's of music? And wait, well, first, this, I just got sad all of a sudden because I was going to say, what generation are we of music? Then I started thinking like, dang, like, man, what?
We
So will we
are
be like, I don't know, will we
generation wise, we are 90s, 2000s. Maybe late 80s, but we're more 90s, 2000s.
that's true. I would agree with that.
Mhm.
So do you think, well, yeah, 90s is really I would say our generation more so than 2000s, even though we flow into the 2000s,
So late 80s,
early
all the
2000s.
90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with you though. Late 80s is, yeah, there were some things in the 80s that we was, rocking to, but
Mhm.
mostly 90s.
Mhm.
So when you look at 90s music, early 2000s, do you think it's better than music today?
Substance wise, but it just depends on which genre, because I feel like because some genres, it kind of, to me, is the same,
Hmm.
and some genres is horrible.
Okay. All right. Well, that didn't really answer your question.
What?
I think that was that was a little, I don't know, like, I don't just okay. So
So I'll be more specific. So I think the our R&B music now was better then.
okay.
Okay.
Right. And you mean substance wise, like things that they sung about, and yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, there was more, you wrote your own music. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where today you have other people writing for you.
True.
You know what I mean? So when you're singing it, you're not really singing it from your heart, because I mean, you could be singing from your heart, but it's not your situation. It's the writer's situation. Or AI, which will be in this
Oh,
next
okay,
generation.
that's a whole
But I'm just
different. Yeah,
saying
that's
AI is
true.
going to be writing all the
That's
songs.
true.
So and then, but as far as rap, I would say it's worse, because it's just like, what are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like, yes, I think rap was going in a direction already in our generation, but now it's just like what are we talking about?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I feel you. I think, and this is why I was saying at the onset, like, I think there's just a general bias. Like every
Mhm.
generation feels that way, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, I do think 90s music, early 2000s, I agree with you. R&B was just different. I
Mhm.
mean, we had the groups, like
Mhm.
the whole
Mhm.
tone.
Mhm.
It was different. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Lyrically, I would agree. I mean, yeah, when I just think about the hits, but they got some fire stuff today too, but not holistically like it was in the 90s,
Mhm.
or the, 90s and early 2000s. Rap, I don't like. This is a hard one to me
Mhm.
because I do think rappers today, and maybe this would be a long run, but like there's certain genres of rap today that I'm just like, okay, like I
Mhm.
don't know what you even talking about.
Mhm. Mhm.
The substance of rap today, I think, is bankrupt.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I do think the rappers today are better than the rappers of yesterday. There were some rappers of yesterday that can hang, that would be able to hang today,
Mhm.
no
Mhm.
doubt.
Mhm.
But holistically,
Mhm.
you know,
You think rappers today are better than rappers
yeah,
in
I
our
mean,
day?
the
Okay.
you know, we 90s, it was, I just, and I got good did a bump, but then dum ba bum. And
No, no, no. That wasn't my generation. I don't know what you talking
well, that's
about.
true. That's a little bit earlier than that. We got Three Times Crazy, Pac,
Yes.
well, I'm a West Coast guy, right? But we had
Mhm.
Rakim, yeah, there were some lyricists, don't get me wrong. And yeah,
Mhm.
there was Nas, Jay-Z, AZ, yo. Yeah, well,
AZ.
yeah, AZ. You never heard of AZ?
No.
Lisa.
So
There was
Jay-Z
a AZ before there was a Jay-Z.
Oh, okay. I don't never heard of an AZ.
Yeah, yeah, nah, yeah.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. I know you think I'm lying right now, but it's all good. I don't really care. Because when we say interesting, what we really say it is fool. You lying. Interesting. Interesting. So it's cool. It's cool. You can go check it out. You can go look it up. Um, but so leading into our conversation,
Mhm.
I saw a clip that was on Breakfast Club where uh, Jermaine Dupri was talking about sort of the substance of music today,
Mhm.
and talking about how um, the difference in musicians and quality of music and musicians today.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons why he said that was because, he feels like young people don't go to church,
Mhm.
and most musicians today uh, don't have that foundation that comes out of the church,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so we could listen to it real quick first, and
Mhm.
then yeah, I just like to chop it up. I think there's some things in there that are pretty interesting
Okay.
that we could talk about. So let me pull it up. We can listen real quick.
Now moving on, Jermaine Dupri. So Jermaine Dupri was live on Instagram yesterday, and he had a take that has a lot of people debating back and forth about why R&B isn't good right now, in his opinion. Let's take a listen.
Black youth of today do not go to church and they don't have that church band grooming. Like B Cox came from the church, right? Jodeci comes from church. Like so when you listen to that soul, that soul that you think is soul, it's a that's coming from over there. Yeah, it's an added piece of information that if you're gonna make these records, it's hard to beat Jodeci when you don't have that element. So it's like when people be saying, yo, music ain't the way it used to be. Like, I just posted my new Anthony Hamilton record is coming out Queen. October 4th. Queen. Yeah, Queen, right? Yeah. Anthony Hamilton comes from the church. Like, you're not gonna get that that's in his voice. Yeah. You ain't just getting that from being on the internet.
I don't disagree with that take at all.
Yeah, I gotta believe Jermaine Dupri. Jermaine Dupri is such a icon as all when it comes to R&B. So when he says something like that, he deals with all type of R&B artists, from old to new to just starting out. So if he feels that and he's seeing that, you gotta believe.
But even when you talk to certain R&B artists, most R&B artists, they'll tell you that they got their start in the church.
Okay, so you heard that.
Mhm.
I mean, I have some questions and some thoughts, but yeah, what is your initial thoughts on that conversation? I know that's broad, but
Well, that's all they care about coming from church.
come on now. I'm telling you,
Like, you know what I mean? That's why the youth of today need to go to church so they can come out and have a better singing voice.
yeah,
That's
or
that's
fuel
how you
R&B.
see the church.
Yes,
You know?
yes, no, yeah, I agree. I think that was one of my thoughts too. Was like, you know, should the church be proud of that?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
should we be proud that most of the mainstream artists today,
Mm-hmm.
and we could definitely say in yesteryears,
Mm-hmm.
um, even prior to us,
Mm-hmm.
no, most people don't even know that Casey and JoJo they had a gospel group.
Mm-hmm.
Not their family was a group,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, they way off now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they,
Mm.
Lord have mercy.
Mm.
So you're having my baby, and
Don't
it
start,
means so
please.
much to me.
Back to your thought. Go ahead.
There's
Finish.
nothing more
Oh my
precious
goodness.
than to raise a
No.
family. There's any doubt in
Alan,
your
stop.
know all the lyrics too. You can count on me. So anyway, but yeah, should we be proud of that? Right? Like that a majority of mainstream artists have their roots in church, have left the church.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that the church should be proud of, should celebrate? You know what I mean? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they see it as a positive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that, that the better artists come out of the church.
Hmm.
But I mean, how should we feel about that?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how should we feel about that? So I don't know. It's just very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I know that most musicians would probably see that as somewhat of a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Most Christian musicians and stuff like that, and singers and stuff like that, because I think it brings a sense of validation
Mm-hmm.
to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
brings a sense of we are as talented.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a recognition type thing,
Right.
but it's kind of a sad thing.
Yeah. Very sad.
that people have left the church and are now singing about stuff that doesn't glorify God.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they find that as being a positive and a
Mm.
plus,
Mm.
and I'm just
Mhm.
like, it's interesting. It's just
Yeah.
an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
It also made me think about how we treat people with talent in the church.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we tend to, overlook a person's quote unquote spirituality because they're talented. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it a ton of times.
Yes.
It's like, man, so and so could sing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have them join the praise team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
the lifestyle, you know what I mean,
Right.
doesn't matter.
Right.
This boy is talented, or this
Mm-hmm.
girl is talented.
Mm-hmm.
They could sing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, in part, that's the catalyst for people leaving, is when we praise their talent more than we actually pay attention to their relationship, or do they really even know what they're singing about?
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought it was just really interesting, how the secular realm sees the church sort of as like a farming system
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for talent.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it if
They do most of their recruiting in the
that's what I'm
church.
saying. They got church scouts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They just going
Mm-hmm.
up into churches and sitting down and being like, okay,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
what's his name?
Yep.
Timmy?
Ah.
And signing
Yeah.
people from the church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a farming system. It's where all the talent is,
Yeah.
I just think it's sad and it's a shame, the way, like you just said, like the reputation of the church and what comes out of the church and what the church is known for, especially when it comes to music,
Yeah.
is what it's contributed to the advancement of R&B.
Yeah.
That the quality of R&B has gone down because kids don't go to church. It's like,
Right.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like you said, the purpose for them going to church is to, get a good foundation and get good roots, and then go off to Hollywood and
get toe up.
leave
know
all
what I
those
mean?
roots. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's an interesting dynamic. I think it's a problem. I've seen several artists who uh I've seen several artists shipwreck and actually say, uh there was one artist, and I don't know if I should mention by name or not. If not, I'll just cut it out. But there was
Mm-hmm.
one artist named Tone. You remember
Mm-hmm.
Tone?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? He's now since has come out, as I think bi or something.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was kind of giving his testimony, because he had went through a whole lot of trauma,
Yeah.
but part of the things that he was saying in his testimony, I guess you would say, was that he felt like the church just loved him for his talent. He felt like the church only cared about what he was able to do. And they overlooked his trauma. They overlooked his sin.
Yeah.
And, gave him a position, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just, worked his talent. And the sad part is like, on the other side of that, being a person who understands how church works from the other side,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes churches use these areas as a form of discipleship. They use it as a form of evangelism and discipleship.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean these areas?
okay, like singing, you know what I mean? Like these gifting areas, and so, let's keep them close to the church. And so, you give them what they want to keep them, keep them close. So it's not always a predatory thing, or it's not always we need to use them for their gifts. Sometimes it's, they're trying to keep people, and these are the means that they use to try to keep people connected to the church. You know what I mean? Because they wouldn't be connected otherwise, which is why some people will, use secular songs in service to kind of use it to catch people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, he was just talking about like how the church, was more, at least from his perspective, he felt like the church was more concerned with, his ability than him as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And it just further pushed him into the darkness that that he was experiencing. Now,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's tons of other reasons why he was going through what he's going through, but I think that's true. When we
Mm-hmm.
look at the artists today,
Mm-hmm.
um, when we look at the landscape of church today, with the emphasis being on the performance
Mm-hmm.
aspect, the emphasis being on the what the Sunday worship experience looks like,
Yeah.
feels like.
Mm-hmm.
You got people who, again, who are disconnected from Jesus, but are on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I just seen an article on a worship leader, quote unquote, who was putting hidden cameras. He put a hidden cameras in the green room bathroom.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And he was a very popular worship leader,
Mm-hmm.
mega church,
Mm-hmm.
was doing this for years,
Mm.
worship, leading the community in song for years.
Mm-hmm.
And they just found out that this has happened.
Wow.
Right. And I'm not saying I guess the correlation that I'm making between that is that, again, a lot of what we do in the church is more of a job
Mm-hmm.
than it is flowing from the relationship that one has with Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing when it comes to, people who've come out of the church. The thing that tied them to the church was their talent in the
Mm-hmm.
first place.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing that people probably praised in them.
Mm.
And unfortunately, it's led to people leaving the community and experiencing a whole lot of what they're experiencing today.
Yeah.
You think of individuals, R. Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
You think of these individuals who came out of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say this, true too, like, having roots in church, what does that mean? Like what does that even mean? Like,
Yeah.
having roots in church is not being a Christian.
Mm-mm. At all.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's another form of cultural Christianity.
Yeah.
And as long as we allow people to believe that their association with a 1 day a week gathering and their experience as a result of that 1 week gathering, whether that's singing, whether that's that doesn't necessarily translate into relationship,
Right.
what a relationship with Jesus is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I think he's right, though. I think Jermaine Dupri is right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, young people aren't going to church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
you know, it's interesting that he makes that,
Right.
that observation.
Yeah.
But the reason why he feels they need to go to church obviously is off.
Mm-hmm.
That the church is not producing the talent that it once produced before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a shame.
Mm-hmm.
You know, R&B and music, is a result of the people who sing the songs.
Yeah.
And the people who listen to it.
Right.
So, whatever you feel about R&B music today and its decline
Mm-hmm.
is right in line with the decline in culture. It's really a reflection of who we are,
Mm-hmm.
Where we are
Yeah.
as a society and a culture. So, but anyway, I thought it was interesting, observation. I don't know. Any final thoughts?
No, I just no,
We
I
got a
just
little stalker. That little stalker looking again, peeking his head out. I swear that boy is a stalker, man.
Stop.
Yeah, I'm telling you, why you peeking your head around the corner, dude? You know what I mean? Straight stalking.
Oh, he wants to see what you got. What you got my mama in there doing? No, but it's just sad. It just goes to show basically what we've always been talking about is, the church is looked at as, the building.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So Jermaine Dupri is talking about what the building
That's
was
good, Lisa.
producing.
That's
You know
good.
what I mean? Not what was being produced inside
Come on,
someone.
Lisa.
You
That's
know what I
good.
mean? So yeah,
Lord.
it's just sad, you know. Whatever.
That was good, Lisa.
Whatever.
That was good.
Every now and then, you know.
Nah, more times than not, girl. No, that was good, baby.
But no, I just feel that, you know, it's just sad. And that's what he's telling young people. Basically, he's saying, you know, we need to get our young people back into the church so we can get our R&B music back popping.
Boy, that's a breakdown. We need to get the young people back in church so we can get our R&B back.
I mean, that's basically what he's saying.
You know, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I guarantee, you know, Jermaine Dupri used to have that show. What was it called? We used to always watch where the little kids, he used to make it, not making the band.
Yeah. We gonna have a discussion about that, but that's a whole different different topic.
But he had the little show of the people coming at the little kids coming out.
The rap game or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think that's what it was called. And yeah, I guarantee there's several people that he probably honed in on just because they had a church background.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. In closing, here's the last thing I'll say too. But we also, especially in the Black church, and it was Black folks in general. And I'm not saying this is not something that's universal, but I'm just talking about our specific group and what it relates to when we talk about church. We got to get out of this feel thing that you know, the church gives them this ability to feel when they're singing. You know, Anthony Hamilton, he you could tell he's feeling it, and you know, and you know that God is inspiring. You know this. You know what I mean? God's hands are not on anything that's unholy, and that's just the reality of the fact. And I'm not saying that I guess what I'm saying is that I'll never forget this. There's a atheist, and this was a part of his apostasy, of him walking away from the Christian faith. He said it dawned on him when he went to a New Edition concert, and he was on the front row, and they were singing the song that we like.
Can You Stand the Rain?
Can You Stand the Rain, girl? Well, Johnny Gill came off on that. So Can You Stand the Rain was on, and he said he was into it. He was closing his eyes, and you know, and then he said the thought just came to him. He was just like, what is different than what I'm doing here? And the way I feel here than how I feel on Sunday when I'm in church.
Yeah. And
he was talking about the relationship that he had was built on emotion and feeling, right? Now, I'm not saying emotion and feeling aren't important, but we got to quit linking, you know, these talents and these abilities to drive emotion and as something spiritual. Like if you can, a person could preach because they can move the crowd. A person could sing because they make chills coming up, you know, that you're having a spiritual experience because you got chills coming up and down your spine because this guy can just, you know, or this gal could just, you know what I mean? And it's no different than what we see in church.
Right.
You know what I mean? Most people getting up and they rocking. They ain't rocking because of Jesus. They rocking because of the runs. They rocking not because they got
this kind of runs.
The singing runs.
Yes.
Right? Like the singing run. This is just getting worse and worse. Yes. They are feeling what's being sung versus what's behind the singing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you can't separate that from lifestyle. And I think this is, you know, again, part of the bigger conversation, like you said, of, you know, how has our vantage point or our viewpoint of church fed into this false reality and are causing people to suffer. You know what I mean? And so anyway, you know, yeah, that's it. Good stuff. Yeah. Right. Good words, Lisa.
Thank you. Same to you.
Well, all right. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Church Dropout podcast. As we always say, please like, rate, subscribe, drop a comment below. Keep the conversation moving forward. We would love to hear your thoughts. And that's it for another edition of Church Dropout. We'll talk to you soon. God bless.
Good night.